So, in the last few lectures, we saw how low temperatures are produced and in what way you can cool the materials down to very low temperatures. And in 1911, this led to a major discovery of a new phenomena, which was the phenomena of superconductivity. It was possible only because Camerlingons was successful in liquefying helium down to 4.2 Kelvin. And that led to this important discovery of superconductivity, namely that the resistance of the material abruptly drops to zero below a critical transition temperature. This was a major breakthrough, that if you take mercury and if you cool it down to low enough temperatures of around 4.2 Kelvin, then this figure actually shows the behavior of resistance of mercury. So if you measure the resistance of mercury above 4.2 Kelvin, then it is a finite value. But at 4.2 Kelvin, the resistance drops very sharply and very abruptly and goes below measurable limits. If you can see here, the view graph actually shows that the resistance that he was able to measure, that the resistance at this point below 4.2 Kelvin was much below 10 raised to minus 5 ohms. So this actually led to the new phenomena of superconductivity, that certain materials, when they are cooled below a certain temperature called the superconducting transition temperature, then the material loses all resistance. And this also led to rest what happens in certain materials when you cool the system, what happens in certain materials when you cool the system below at a certain temperature. So below a certain temperature, certain materials actually show this amazing new phenomena where the resistance goes to zero. And once resistance goes to zero, it opens up interesting possibilities, because materials, if you can make wires which have no resistance, you can deliver current to your homes with zero voltage. Namely, the power consumed is zero, I into V is zero. So you can actually send energy to your homes with very low consumption of power, and this will make power distribution and consumption very cheap. Okay, so it had the possibility to completely change the world, and that is why the discovery of superconductivity was considered a very important discovery, and till date it is still considered as an important area, because it holds the possibility of giving us very cheap ways of distributing power and energy to our homes, as well as for industries. And this thing, it has a completely holds the possibility of completely changing technologies and the way the world works. So this was a major important breakthrough, and 1911 this was discovered. He also received the Nobel Prize because of this discovery. So now, how before we go on further, one may ask, why did he choose mercury? One of the reasons of choosing mercury is that mercury is a liquid and you can distill it. Just like water, if you distill it and you make it undergo through the distillation process, you can get very pure water. Similarly, mercury being a liquid, you can make it undergo distillation process and you can get very pure mercury. And then if you cool it, then it shows this transition temperature. So because people didn't want, disorder can have various effects. It can have very important and very it can cause various effects to the system. Typically it is known to shift the transition temperatures. More disorder in the system actually can lower the transition temperature. So if Camerlingons had actually chosen a material which had high disorder, it may have never shown superconductivity. Or mercury, without distillation, without making it very pure, if he had studied it, perhaps it would not have shown superconductivity. So there was a coming together of many different ideas and developments which actually hit at the right time, which led to the birth of this new phenomena of superconductivity. Now, one may ask, how low a resistance can it go when the material becomes superconducting? Is there a way to measure these very low resistances? And what is the limit of the resistance that one can measure? So how does one go about doing it? Okay, one may ask that question, that how do you know how low the resistance is of the material once it enters into the superconducting state? Is it truly zero? And what do you mean by zero ohms? Okay, what do you mean by 0 ohms? So these are important questions experimentally which need to be answered. And how does one go about doing it? Okay, how does one find out how low the resistance is? So there was an interesting experiment which was done, and this is the experiment that one can do. So basically what you take is, you take a loop of wire, of a superconducting wire, which has a resistance R and an inductance L. Okay, now we're at room temperature. Okay, and now once you cool it down, of course the resistance becomes very low. We don't know what is that resistance. It is very low resistance, so it has some value of R which is very low. Now what you can do is that you can place this. So basically what you do is that you dip it in liquid, okay, and liquid at 4.2 Kelvin, and this entire loop of wire, which is shown in black, becomes cold below its transition temperature, which is below the transition temperature of this wire. Okay, and its resistance also becomes very low. The resistance of the material R becomes very low. Now what you can do is that you can apply a magnetic field in this, to this wire. Okay, you can apply a magnetic field to this loop. You can apply a magnetic field through this loop of wire, and the moment you apply a magnetic field through this loop of wire, what will happen is that a current will start circulating in this wire. Okay, now if you look at this sort of a equation, then by conservation of energy, the rate of change of the electromagnetic energy which is stored in this loop is half Li square di by dt, is plus the dissipation in the wire, which is I square R, is equal to 0. Okay, the rate of change of this energy plus the dissipation, the power dissipated, which is I square R, is equal to 0. Okay, because the total energy is constant in the wire. So dE by dt is equal to 0, and this is the rate of change of the electromagnetic energy in the wire plus the power dissipated is equal to 0. So this is well known, and if you solve this equation, it is very easy to solve it. You will get L di by dt plus I into R is equal to 0, which will lead to an expression which is this, that the current in the loop will actually go as I naught e raised to minus R by L times t, which actually suggests that I is equal to I naught e raised to minus t by tau. Okay, now what you can do is that you can measure the so once you set up the current, okay, you can switch off this magnetic field. You know, the current, if it is superconducting, there is no resistance, the current should indefinitely persist in the wire. Okay, it should continuously circulate in the wire. Once you have set up the current should be indefinitely persisting in the wire. Now what you can do is that you can put up some Hall sensors around this wire and measure what is the magnetic field generated by the current. So similarly, just as the current has this behavior, the magnetic field associated with the current which is flowing through the wire should also go as B naught e raised to minus t by tau. It's time dependent, so the magnetic field of this wire should also have a time dependence, which is this form. So you can keep on measuring the magnetic field associated with this wire, the magnetic field of this wire, the magnetic field B as a function of time it will have some decay, and the decay rate, the 1 by e of its value, the decay rate tau, the decay constant is L over R. This decay constant is L over R. Now if R becomes very small, then tau becomes very large. Okay, And so people actually did this experiment, and they took such loops, kept it cold, switch on the current, and measured the magnetic field across this and measured the magnetic field because of this current circulating in the wire to estimate how much current is in the wire, and measured the time dependence of this magnetic field. And from the decay rate, they estimated that the resistance of this wire once it became superconducting was less than 10 raised to minus 19 ohms. You cannot run this thing for years together. It was run for a definite period of time, and there was some fluctuations in the magnetic field and a slight bit of decay, but from whatever they could do, they found very low decay and the resistance, and from that they estimated that the resistance of the wire has to be lower than 10 raised to minus 19 ohms, or the resistivity is 10 raised to minus 25 ohm meter. So it is certainly below any measurable limits that you can do. Okay, this value has been improved slightly further. However, it is still below any measurable limits. The resistance of the wire truly goes below any measurable limits once it gets into the superconducting state. So this is the fascinating property of superconductivity, which emerges once you cool a material below its superconducting transition temperature. In the next lecture, we will look at how a superconductor interacts with a magnetic field, and it gives rise to very strange and very new effects. And that will be the topic of discussion of our next lecture, which is called the Meissner phase of the superconductor.